Some of Israel's detractors will say anything as long as it serves to delegitimize Israel. And because many people don't know the facts, outright distortions often become accepted as the complete truth. Take the assertion, for example, that Israel is a European colonial implant and that the Palestinians are paying for the crimes of Germany. Israel supporters shouldn't have to refute such nonsense. We decided to tell the story of Israel's real roots and lay to rest such anti-Israel nonsense once and for all.
Israel? We're in Israel.
My parents?
Yeah.
From Turkey.
Were you born in Israel?
Yes,
Where were you born in Israel?
in Bat Yam.
Every person we met told us a unique story about their roots. Taken together, their stories add up to an Israeli society formed by a complex tapestry of roots, rather than a simple pipeline from Europe after World War II.
My father is from Poland and my family is from my side from my mother is from Morocco. So I'm mixed. Oh, okay. But you?
אבא שלי בא מטעמי ציונות והמשפחה של אמא שלי באה בגלל השואה לארץ.
They moved because the government of Iraq, when Saddam Hussein was in the head of it, didn't give them to live peacefully.
My father is from Turkey. He came in the age of 17.
Father come to Morocco. שהוא היה בן 4-5 והוא התחיל להתיישב פה הוא וסבא.
I'm a grandchild of Baruch and Ida and Shmuel and Miriam. Shmuel and Miriam were both born and raised in Turkey. Shmuel in Istanbul and Miriam in Ankara. And Baruch and Ida were both born and raised in Libya. Ida in Benghazi and Baruch in Tripoli, in Libya. And Baruch and his wife fled out of Libya. Were persecuted as Jews, both in Benghazi and in Tripoli. Their Muslim neighbors, the people they loved and shared their life before the war and before the persecution started, to actually stab them and grab their things, steal their the things they had at home and in their stores, and practically made them run away from Libya with almost nothing, nothing with them, and they came to Israel.
It quickly became clear to us that many, if not most, Israeli roots are actually Middle Eastern and not European. And after researching the subject, we learned that these Middle Eastern Jews, known as Mizrahim in Hebrew, have their own forgotten stories of persecution at the hands of Muslim dictators. We started to wonder why Israel's detractors might be obscuring the indigenous roots of Israeli society and decided to take a closer look. We fondly remember eating homemade Yemeni food that we got from a lady in a square one Shabbat morning. So we started off by looking at Yemeni Jews. Emigration from Yemen to Israel began in 1881 and continued almost without interruption until 1914. Between June 1949 and September 1950, the overwhelming majority of Yemen's remaining Jewish population was transported to Israel in Operation Magic Carpet. Most Yemenite Jews now live in Israel. An estimated 350 Jews are left in Yemen, and they continue to arrive in Israel in small family groups. And of course, some of us met with relatives in Israel. Our group was predominantly Ashkenazim, Jews with European roots. Some of our relatives came with the huge influx of Russian Jews in the 1990s, while others are the grandchildren of pioneers who came before the birth of the state. Before we went to Israel, we read Operation Babylon, a book about the heroic efforts to rescue Iraqi Jewry from threats of annihilation, so we already knew something about the community. It was certainly a history that we wished we knew more about. Prior to reading Operation Babylon, we didn't really know anything about Iraqi Jews or the events that eventually led to Operation Ezra and Nehemiah, when some 120,000 Jews were airlifted to Israel between 1950 and 1952. The largest group of Middle Eastern Jews came from Morocco. The State of Israel is home to nearly 1 million Jews of Moroccan descent, around 15% of the nation's total population. No wonder a lot of people we interviewed had connections to that country. It seems that an image of a Middle Eastern-leaning multicultural society just doesn't fit with an anti-Israel narrative. But Israeli roots could not have been nourished by persecution alone. It is the connection to the land of Israel that has been the driving force for many Israelis whose families returned from the diaspora.
Well, this is our historical homeland. This is where the Jews are supposed to be. This is where it's all happening.
בשש שעות את יכולה להגיע לדרום ולראות את הדרום ואז להיות במדבר, ותוך 6 שעות את יכולה להגיע לצפון ולראות נופים אחרים, וזה דבר שרואים רק כאן. This is our country, and this is the only country in the world that Jewish can feel that it's like home. Imagine myself living in another country.
There's so much beauty in Israel. Beauty. How I love the desert. How I love the beach, how I love living in Tel Aviv or in a community, in a kibbutz. I love those things. So what is mainly connect me to Israel is the people, the family, this place where I feel belong and attached.
Israel's my home, and I think it's the future of the Jewish people. I think that it's the natural place for the Jewish people, and I think it's the place where we will thrive and prosper, and Jewish culture will flourish best.
While Israel is a country of immigrants, it can also be called a country of refugees. People came from all over the world to live here. Many fled their native lands, pushed out by fear and persecution. Others were pulled by the desire to make Aliyah, to return to live in a Jewish homeland. Some Israeli families originally spoke Yiddish, others Arabic. Still others spoke Ladino or Persian, Turkish, or Amharic. The difference in roots seemed to make little difference to the Jews we met. Israel is a place where their dreams and prayer for next year in Jerusalem can be lived without persecution. The drive to return to the land, coupled with a desire to escape persecution in both Muslim and European lands, wove a rich and diverse collection of Jewish roots into what is now a deeply rooted Israeli tree.
I'm Jewish. I want to be here in my country. That's all.